In this week's show, our guest is Mr. Um, Eric Bickernicks,
Bickernicks, yes.
and he'll be telling us about his most recent book. I checked out your website and saw the headlines, like those magazines from the
Right,
90s.
right.
Um, tell, tell us,
Weekly World News, right.
tell us what prompted you to write this series and what is it about?
All right. Yeah, so Higher Strangeness, right? So basically, I've written two books as a skeptic about the UFO. The first one's about the UFO phenomenon, basically in the folklore that has arisen around UFOs. And the second one here is Higher Strangeness, the same people and the same settings. I continued into basically hammering on conspiracy culture. And basically using sort of like a lot of national things, put into this little basket, a little community, should we say, of Cape Cod, and sort of satirizing what happened nationally and over the years in this little community, and by assigning characters to it. But yeah, it's mostly and most of the satire is based off of real people. Alec Jones. We have a character that has literally turned into Alec Jones. It has an Infowars site making fun of QAnon, Emeron, the Pizzagate conspiracy, which is it was at the Comet Pizza, which kind of started the whole thing of QAnon. Yeah, and so just put it all into Cape Cod, basically, over the summer, or a summer.
Well, in this show, we have tried to debunk a lot of these conspiracies,
Right.
and Alex Jones is the person that I despise the most, other than
Good.
Trump.
Right.
And I feel like this magical thinking, this random, like mixing things and bringing stuff up, and then lately he's been talking a lot about God, so he almost feels like he's a prophet. In
Right.
your opinion, where is all this heading? Because there was a rise in a lot of destructive stuff with the rhetoric around the Alex Jones conspiracies back in the last election.
Right.
Where do you think it's heading? And is satirizing a way to confront it, or just to kind of give up and make fun of something that's very real?
Yeah, well, it's it looks like it's with Trump. It just looks like it's heading into depression, which is anyone who's intelligent. It's just like, oh, yeah, just depression, basically. Anyone who's smart or intelligent, at least from I'm from Boston, outside of Boston, New England, so this is the hotbed of progressives, So, I don't know if it's necessarily heading anywhere. It's that this is humanity. Here it is, just splayed out. This is how it works. And at this point, I'm just like, yeah, can't do anything about it. Just that's it's always been around, and it'll continue to be around. So yeah, like I said, I've just almost just accepted it in the sense that yes, stupidity will always be around.
But is it a form of entertainment? Because life can be very boring, and
Right.
I've listened
Yes.
to Coast to Coast. I've
Right.
watched all the X-Files. I've done
Yep.
Star Trek, Star Wars. So you think that people are mixing fantasy with reality just to make things spicy?
Yes. Well, obviously, yeah. Well, it's fun. Yes, Bigfoots are fun. Yes, UFOs are fun. Yeah, Loch Ness monsters. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's fun. Uh, yeah, but it's it's such a large swath, give me. I was going to mention something. Let me give you a good example. There's an author called Kurt Anderson that wrote a book called Fantasyland: How America Went Haywire, a 500-year history. And he literally just spells out how basically our society, American culture, is just built for conspiracies, and just that's just how we are. That's how we've always been. Uh, and anything that's happening now is just really nothing new. In short, it's basically the pilgrims who came here were trying to get away from the European, as religious, settlers. They were trying to get away so they can have their own religion here, you know, in this country. And then basically from there, anyone who had another wacky idea just moved west, and they just kept going. And he illustrates nicely, like all the different sects, everything. Just if you've got a kooky idea, come on to America, you know, get a piece of real estate out west, and just keep going. And you know, includes all, you know, for gun culture and all that over here. So yeah, so at this point, I just almost accept it. Like yeah, okay, yeah, you know, I satirized it. So, and there's only few people that you know can appreciate it, because if you buy into it, um, okay, you're not going to buy my book. So there.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I've never thought about that theory because when you think about the Pilgrims being wacky, and
Right,
the
right.
Masons being wacky,
There
and
you
most of the
go.
presidents were Masons,
Right.
and then the Mormons,
There you go.
and then the great, what was that, where there was a preacher that said Jesus was going to come, and then there was a fallout,
Lots of them. Oh, there's lots of them.
and
Yeah,
brought for
yeah,
about Seventh-day Adventists and the Jehovah's Witnesses,
yep.
and
So
then you
yeah,
keep going with the Skulls and Bones, and every other
yeah,
group is built upon that, like you're saying. So
right,
because it's a maverick culture that people
right,
are either running away or protesting whatever it was before,
right.
do you think that now with people can make fun of social justice warriors and being counterproductive? Do you think that they have also conspiracy and things that are kind of out there, and that's taking a hold of society as well?
So what are you referring to, who in particular, or
Well,
just
in the newer generation, which is more ahistorical, they're
right,
also willing to believe in the flat Earth, and
right,
the moon was never landed on. Uh,
right?
they think the terrorists are sexy, all
Yep.
kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I touch on the moon landing in one of the books. So there's lots of conversations, you know, hitting all these things where, you know, you do realize blah blah blah. Yeah, and they're all in there. Basically, I can almost go through each one, or you know, if I went through the storyline, yeah, I just assign them to characters, and basically, I'm stealing Galileo. When he was writing about the Copernican theory, and he had to relate it to the church, and he used a character called Simplicio, I believe, to illustrate his point that look, the Copernican method of you know planets orbiting the sun, he used basically an idiot, or at least his idiot's viewpoint, and argued against it. And I'm kind of doing the same thing here in my books. Is just yeah, I show you. Well, you know, I have a conspiracy type character who just believes it, and then my character will argue against it, sort of illustrating, you know, my point in
Well,
this.
and that was my question: was is there a skeptic that is trying to investigate what's going on, or
Yes,
is
oh,
that
very much so. Yeah, especially in the first book. Yes, in
okay?
criticizing conspiracies in the second one. Yeah,
So tell us about your history. In the email back and forth, you mentioned that you've done some movies, you've done
right.
all these books. So give us all your projects that you worked on so people can
Yeah,
look them up.
yeah. Basically, I'm basically a filmmaker by trade. Uh, uh, had some early success doing some shorts that made it to like America's Funniest Videos. We're talking the '80s. Did corporate work. So yeah, basically, I'm you know I build visual things. Have been writing scripts my whole life, and yeah, and then I wrote and filmed my big fat failed indie feature back in 2000. You know any filmmaker guy has to do their big feature, and hopefully Hollywood calls, and they didn't. But you know, I wrote it, you know, filmed it. It was it was a great experience. And seeing how and film, writing it and filming it is just killer. That's why I figure, oh, if I just write books, if I just take my film script ideas and just write it as a novel, I don't have to spend 2 years filming it. So I kind of like the idea of just failing writing a novel, which merely takes 6 months of effort versus 2 years of effort to write a movie, write it and then film a movie. So yeah, but basically these are just sort of I've got something to say, and basically I want to get it into either a novel form or whatever. So basically, so the first one, I've written 3 books. The second one, first one, Artifice. Basically let's see the point of that is as an artist, it's really just marketing. Who gets to be famous as an artist, right? And it's marketing. It's you can't really say if as an example, modern art, if that splorch is any more deeper than anyone else's piece of art. That was I covered all that. Second one was High Strangeness. Basically, so the premise on that one is all right, imagine if the alien imagine if everyone thinks they're going after what they preconceive of aliens, which is the grays, right? The classic grays, and that they don't even see that there's an actual alien. They're standing on an alien, and that the only thing that interacts with these aliens in this book is the golden retriever. And basically, it's taking a page from 2001. They basically this golden retriever turns into a genius, which nobody knows because we just see it, just from the golden retriever's viewpoint. But basically, imagine if you took the 2001 monolith, right, and in the movie suggested that it imparted wisdom, right, to the apes, and then the rest of humanity sprang from there. In the second book, I took the concept, well, what if you took that these alien, I won't say it's a monolith, but then broke it up and sold it on eBay to everybody. And then everybody turns into geniuses for a short while there. So imagine it as if, yeah, that conspiracy thinking goes away. That literally the world turns rational, except for one guy. And spoiler, ignorance wins in the end. Yeah. So like I said, I just got my viewpoints, across through the characters. And terrible thing if you're trying to sell books, because if I'm hammering on people who believe in conspiracies, you don't sell a lot of books. If I'm hammering on the true believers that the Greys are here and the UFOs they're all watching us. No, yeah, there's not hardly any sales going on. But yes, there's plenty of money to be made writing a book about the aliens in the space all above us. And if you're writing about conspiracies and how it's all connected, yeah, money there. What the hell was I thinking?
Well, let me tell you what happened to me. So
Okay.
2 years ago, I challenged a guy who came on my friend's show, and he's a big alien conspiracy guy.
Right.
And he's also a big, I don't know if he was Q-Anon, but he was talking about the Chinese, and he was getting a lot of stuff from Revolver News, and he
Right.
was saying that Trump was the greatest man that ever lived, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I decided to debate him, and we started off with the alien stuff,
Right.
and somehow his followers took offense that I was questioning the alien stuff,
Okay.
and then
Yep.
they wouldn't leave me alone.
All
They
right.
kept on trying to insult me online and say that I didn't know what I was talking about. But it was all based on nothing. Like they didn't have any evidence against what I was saying. And then the guy focused on me believing in God, and he's saying, well, we believe in aliens, you believe in God. And you say that if you don't believe in God, you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I never said that. And it just went round
Right.
and round and round. So how can you have a rational conversation with people who are being irrational, kooky, or like believe whatever they want? Because what I've noticed now is that whenever something happens in the world, people will believe whatever they want to believe. It's not,
Right.
we don't, it seems like we don't believe in objective truth anymore. And that all these things that are funner or more exciting to try to pin or demonize the other side you don't like or whatever is what takes hold. So do we even have a common language anymore, or is it just everybody has their own facts and everybody has their own
Yeah.
spiel
Well,
and there's
it,
no common
it's always, I think it's always been that way. Just that we never noticed until social media got all of them together. And certainly there's what's the term here? What's the word here? Then there's definitely an echo chamber uh in the, now certainly, because as an example, in my first book, and this has actually happened to me, we're talking 20 years ago. I had, I had a buddy who's into UFOs. He researched everything, and this is all before the internet. Um, and if you had a crackpot idea, it's hard finding another crackpot with a similar idea, or that you can run with. So the only way to really get to, to find these people was to do like either like a newsletter, if you could somehow get a newsletter out, or my particular friend knew a buddy who had a small AM radio station. It was with like 100 watts, but he was like, damn it, I can get the truth out now. I got my own personal little radio station, AM 100, it probably goes out to 5 miles, in as a radius of 5 miles. And that was like, I finally, he to him, I bypassed, the networks who were censoring, my crackpot ideas. And so my buddy asked me, hey, do you want to do this radio show? And I'm like, you can be the skeptic guy. I'm like, yeah, all right. And it was just, and I knew that no one was listening. I was just like, at least in his mind, he felt like, oh my God, this was something. And I was like, sure, I'll talk. And I literally put this in the book. So when I showed up, I knew that they basically, since nobody called, they had like a friend over there on the other line that would do pretend phone calls. So what I did is I brought in an envelope in a $20 bill. And I said, look, if anyone is listening to us, and I held the envelope up and I said, look, just call. I will send you $20. Just do it. No one called. Yeah, no. No one called. The guy got pissed. Obviously I just showed him like no one's watching this, buddy. So I'm using that as an example. So back then it's like, well, that's all right, fine. He got a little reach, but it was still hard finding other crackpots. Now, social media, yeah, you can now form an echo chamber and just, yep, you'll have them all together. And that was almost impossible, or very hard, to do that 20 years ago. So I think that's what's changed. It's the same amount of crackpots out there with whatever kooky ideas, whether you're religious or whatever. But yeah, they form a mob, and as you saw, they hate it if you're, talking out against them. In fact, my first book, most of the 1-star reviews are people that just went, "This is bullshit, man." They finally figured out that yes, I'm making fun of you. And all the 1-stars, that was all the 1-stars. This is like they just couldn't stand that. I was implying that they were irrational. But the book eventually got 10,500 downloads. There's 40% 5 stars, so the people, who actually get it, enjoy it. I've just done a couple of podcasts, and those people read the book and love it. Just, yeah, absolutely love it. So yeah, that's the big difference. Humanity is the same. Just they're forming mobs, or we are all forming mobs for whatever thing that we're obsessed over, or going.
You mentioned marketing. How did you market that book to get that many downloads?
Yeah, no, it's a free book. So the trick is you give the first one away for free. It's still free, and then charge for the second one. I didn't think I was getting that many downloads. So that's why I wrote it 5 years ago, and I started this other book, about a year ago. But then when I realized, oh, all right, so I guess there are people out there that enjoyed it, and then went with it. But yeah, 5 years ago, I was doing the rounds of podcasts. There weren't that many, going to all the websites, just it was a pain in the butt. Yeah, for no money, but I was hoping I could get the social network together. No, that didn't work. I'm like, all right, so but again, after seeing that, it's a slow process that people will see this, and it'll slowly get out. I'm like, all right, that's good. So ultimately it worked. It just took a long time, and so hopefully this next book will take only 3 years to get out there.
Can you tell us about your political perspective, and why do you think it's important to even take on these issues? Because someone can say, well, you can criticize it all day long, but I'm still going to believe it. So,
yeah.
So are you trying to reach somebody? Is there some message?
No, if I was younger, I'd be like, no, I got to convince them. No. Yeah, no, I at this point it's like no, they're born that way. And here, let me bring up something here just to support um what I'm talking about scientifically here. Because no, my feeling is that there's certain, in short, there's certain people who are just born with their, we'll call it their emotional bone connected to their decision bone, versus some people have, the rational bone is connected to the decision bone. And if you're just your basis of your existence is I will be irrational, oh sorry, I will be like emotional, implying, there's going to be a rationality in there. There's your problem. And what I'm going to cite here, this is in the Atlantic magazine back in 2009, right? Basically, it said liberals and conservatives react in wildly different ways to repulsive pictures. And they basically hooked up a bunch of people, showed them basically, I'll read it here. Scanned the brains of subjects as they looked at a variety of images, such as mutilated animals, filthy toilets, and faces covered with sores, to see whether neural responses showed any correlation with political ideology. There was. And you now, by scanning someone, you can actually tell if they're going to be conservative, or actually, what's the word, the proper word here, or liberal or conservative. Uh, they can see it. You can actually see it. You're going to be a conservative. You're in so way, and basically you react emotionally. The first thing you're going to is your emotions. I need a gun. People are going to get, I need a gun here, or, ew, ticks. I hate ticks. Well, they're just ticks, but that's how they react to the world. So when you show them, uh, something that requires, a rational, you got to control your, in a sense, hold yourself together enough to evaluate something, they're just incapable. They're just, yeah. So if you're born that way, yeah, you can talk all you want. You can try to convince, the outliers you can convince, I guess, So yeah, no, so at this point it's, yeah, accept them. You're like, yeah, you're just going to believe kooky things, and no matter how much I say, we'll never change it. Um, since I assumed, yeah, right. I saw your feed here. So basically, so your viewpoint on like God, religion. Are you atheist or
No, I'm actually religious in the sense
okay,
of, but in a philosophical,
right,
rational way. And some people say
okay,
you can't do both. That
right,
if you have faith, faith is magical, and if you have if you're rational, you will be an atheist, and
right.
I don't believe that. I don't even know how can someone get there without dismissing all the great religious philosophers, and even the early scientists had their own form of theism.
Right.
So what I try to do is give people more information, because if you follow the atheist premise, then they are always right and they have all the answers, and everybody else is living in la la land.
Ah, now hold on. I, as an atheist, I claim not to have the answers. No, I have no idea. I have no answers. Just that if you're religious, like, okay, you claim that, okay, there is one, I guess, one God. Yeah, well, we don't even have to get into this. But the point there, if you're religious, which is most of the population, you have this built-in, well, there's a belief system. Okay, I'm going with the God, hypotheses. Makes you feel good. I agree. I would love to believe in God. That, yes, I agree. That's a really nice, pleasant concept. I just don't see any uh, big, just proof basically, and then we can talk about all that. But I'm not claiming I have the answer. See, so just like if you're saying, okay, there is the God and blah blah blah, it's like, okay, well then it's your job to whether prove it. Certainly me, as I'm not going to be able to disprove it. So but that's one aspect that people may not even look over, in that religious belief is similar to conspiracies, in a sense that, like, I'm going with what I want to believe with, and whether there's any rational points against that, well,
When we had the Thinking Atheist on our show,
right,
it was shown that all he wants to do is like attack his upbringing and the silliness of the evangelical movement. And you can do that with anything, and like you've done with the UFO stuff. There's people who are
Right.
fanaticals about UFOs. If you're fanatical atheist, your job is to disprove everybody and make everybody
Well,
to your camp.
okay, hold on. So yeah, so no, I am not a radical atheist. I don't care what you go with it. In fact, I have an 87-year-old mother who will probably be dying in a few years. I have nope. She should if she feels good about religion. I'm never going to say anything because certainly science has nothing to replace that with, right? You have Carl Sagan saying how we all go back to stardust, and it's like, well, yeah, yes, but that doesn't feel good. Science has no balm to make you feel better about death. I mean, it's just yeah, it's nihilism. It sucks. Yeah. So I have nothing to offer, and if you're born that way, like, no, I need an answer. Like, I have nothing for you. So you're right. You should just go with it. Just embrace religion. Sure, you know.
But you should be able to also objectively step out of it. And in my work, when I
Right.
talk to people about serious stuff, I say, let's put religion aside for a moment, especially people that are disappointed because their prayers are not answered or that things don't go the way they
Right.
think, and say, well, in a naturalistic perspective, what is it better to pursue peace, to pursue goodness, to pursue love, or to dismiss it all as just impulses in your brain or desires and stuff like that? And what I tell them is that if that could be God, if the pursuit of justice, if the wish for the better of others, if that can be God more like a principle, then there's really nothing to fight about.
Right.
Because
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
higher values can be God, and then you leave it up to, we'll see what happens kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. There you go. We're on the same page.
So, but
So
it's
just
crazy that the ancient writers discuss God in those terms, which you would think, I've heard big atheist pundits say, can you believe that these cavemen came up with this concept? And then the first thing that the concept discusses is love. And it's like, why would someone who is in a tribal society full of people that maybe are not sophisticated as us talk about something so deep and so ingrained in our hearts, such as caring for others and having an affection for this idea of somebody bringing you to life and giving you whatever blessings. And so it's very strange. Like, you would think the first thing they would go to is, I am God, all you become my subjects. Kind of like Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, the Romans, and the Greeks. They would go there instead of going to this underdog tale of, even if I get destroyed by all these kingdoms, I'm still going to pursue love. I'm still going to pursue justice and goodness, which seems completely counterproductive or counterintuitive for such a type of
counterintuitive to what though? Yeah. I mean, pursue love. That's yeah. Okay.
But you
What's
get
it?
killed if you
What's
pursue
it
love. That's like, even though
to
I have
what?
if you get killed if you pursue love, like, even though I have a lot of problems with Christianity,
Right.
the religion was based on believing that all human beings are unique. And in the Roman Empire, it was the opposite,
Right.
that only certain human beings were special and everybody else
Right.
was a slave or a
Right.
second-hand person. So forgiving your enemies, praying for them, trying to teach them that it's better to love than to hate. It was self sacrificial, because it brought about their martyrdom. Nobody wanted to hear that crap. Everybody was like, you guys are morons and nerds and you need to die. And then somehow that message became very popular
Right.
and won over the other stuff. Even though it got corrupted later, at least the premise stayed true for the first 300 years, which is, to me, that's a miracle in itself.
So no, the premise of just love. I mean, brotherly love. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's
But nobody believed in brotherly love back then. Back then, it was more
yeah.
utilitarian than it is now.
Right. Right.
So it's wild that something like that would take hold in a system that failed. And I see now Christianity imploding, and the whole American perspective that is very supremacist in his view of
Right.
our way is the only right way, kind of imploding. Do you
Right.
touch on that in your book, that at the end, all these ideas and stuff, even though they're entertaining, even though they're, exciting, they lead to nothing. They kind of, you end up feeling empty at the end because it's a never-ending pursuit. You're like, it's like all those
Well,
shows finding Bigfoot and they never find him.
right. Right. Well, you just keep going. Well, just like religious belief, you just keep going. You just like, all right, I don't have my proof, but I like the idea, so I'll just keep
And
yeah,
it's
keep going
interesting
with it.
if you bring it
So
back to religion. I don't know if you heard, there's a lot of
what?
different people throughout history who say they're the reincarnation of Jesus or they're the
Right, whole
Messiah or
bunch,
something.
right.
And then
Yep.
they die and people are still waiting for them to come back.
Well, correct.
Or they
Right,
modify their faith where it's like, well, they were never supposed to stay alive,
right.
or they're going to come back in the spaceship. We just have to wait and believe enough.
Yep.
We can talk more another time about how people can become deified. And in
Right.
every group, they always pick one guy and they say, this guy is God. And then they follow the same pattern. They give attributes to that person.
Yep.
They do the saintly history of them. And then I idolize them to the point where you can't prove or disprove what they're saying, so you just have to go with it like you're saying. But when we go back to the political realm, I've tried to get different scholars to come and talk about the cult of Trump, and
Right.
it's unbelievable the type of excuses, dismissal of accusations, the type of it's almost like an abused lover who implants their ideal virtues onto someone that is not like that, but that's who they want them to be. Do you see that where it's like this guy can't do anything wrong and they will always justify him and make him seem like the good guy even though he's like murdering their grandma?
Yeah, no. Sam Harris has a podcast. He goes over this with all these other psychologists, scientists, because he's just amazed, like, oh, I can't, and the consensus is it's a reflection of our time, in a sense, our times now. That there's a whole bunch of people that life is just not good, and especially like from a job standpoint. We're back in all these people who aren't scholars or who aren't can remap their brain and learn another computer skill, but just they're sort of built for bolting on bumpers onto cars, and just sort of all those people who did manufacturing jobs 20 years ago are out of work. Basically, it's all been outsourced. So if you want to assemble anything, you do it in China. Normally, there'll be a bunch of Americans that do that kind of work out of jobs, and it's not coming back. They're screwed. I can see. So from their point of view, it's like it's the whole there's nothing for me. So basically, if that guy can come in and just screw everything up, the better. Certainly, in the consensus is they don't actually believe him necessarily what he's going on about. But they're literally just like, I'll take anybody who's not the same old crap, not the same old, politician. And if you ask these people, like, well, what the hell is Trump going to do for you? And I think the thing that they remember is because he sent me a check for $1,000 or whatever it was for the financial there's what you call it, the number there's a name for this back COVID when we actually literally sent checks out to people. They remember that. As if like, well, okay, there we go. I don't have a politician's never sent me a check, and they just sort of attribute it to Trump. But I can see how the point that it's like, if you can only you're as smart as someone who can just assemble a Ford, and then those jobs are long gone. It's either just be a waiter, it just doesn't look good for those guys.
But if we minimize them to they're uneducated, they have nothing going for them, then
Right.
we are insulting and dismissing them, when there's two ways to look at it. There's a way
Right.
where he's the wild card. He's like the Joker and Batman, Dark Knight, where if he burns down the world, he's my representative of the person that is protesting. And if he doesn't burn down the world,
Right.
at least, like you say, he's a different type of politician and he brings something new to the table. But to me, it shows that everybody's so disillusioned with the system, and
Right.
people keep giving them the Joe Bidens and whatever back, that it's not really working for them. But there's another point where it's the fanatical type of people, where they feel that somehow he has their back, which to me
Right.
is distressing, because now I see what happened 100 years ago in Germany, where
Yep.
if you say the right words, you get people on your side. And even if you don't do anything, like, so politicians have gotten so good at playing the game that now people don't even know their game played. And that's what's scary, is that a politician can promise 30 things and not even do one of them, and they're still going to vote for them because at least they're saying the right thing.
Yep. No, back in Germany, the intellectuals thought Hitler was a complete idiot. Yeah, and if you're smart, you didn't go with Hitler. No, this was, And in fact, when he first got elected, when Germany was right when Hindenburg was around, and Germany was a democratic country, he only got like 20% of the vote, which kind of matches up, with the Yahoo crowd, in any country, basically. And then basically, through force, he managed to get that number up. Certainly at the time there, the choice was the big change was either stick with Democrats. Communists were a big, like, oh, listen, I'm going to give you a job. We're going to hit the reset button. And then basically the fascists. And basically what happened is the fascists then knocked out the Communist Party. And then now they had 30%, 40% of the vote, and then from there just basically bullied his way in. So that's that's how it starts. Just certainly certainly if you, again, using Hitler as an example, he was not, yes, you see the newsreel footage where yes, they're obligated to wave, and there's certainly people who were the true believers. But not the high end Germans, and clearly people like Einstein left when he could, real early. So, but yes, I think fascist Germany is a pretty good example of how things fall apart, going from a Democrat, and and if there's just no hope, I don't think this country is that at that point, a depression era 30s. But it's if you're uneducated and can't come up with a new method of working, it looks pretty bleak. I'm certainly the younger generation, right, is just like, I can't even buy a house, blah blah blah. And I've told this to 20-year-olds, like, I would hate to be a 20-year-old now, because there's just way too many people around. And that, you're gonna have to wait until my generation dies off before, and you guys will be in charge, but it'll just take a while. We have to die off, basically.
Eric, our 40-minute session is going to end. Are you
Okay,
okay with coming in for another 20 minutes so we can do the full hour? I'm going to send you another
sure,
Zoom link. Is that okay?
whatever, okay, I'm
Okay.
rolling. So,
Thank you. So we're back from the break. I'm
right,
looking at your website, higher strangeness.net,
.net, right?
and you have some amazing graphics. Do you do that yourself? Is it AI? How do you?
No, I'm a graphics professional. Yes, I did steal some of those images from AI, just just typed them in. But no, that's what I do for a living. More video production, some website stuff. Like I said, I'm more visually orientated. And those, what's on the website there are literally are the conspiracies that I sort of put in the book and illustrated by having it look like a cheap, like the cheap Weekly World News from back in the day. All right, so go ahead. All right.
No, I just wanted to ask you, have you ever thought about doing a graphic novel where you can mix art and a story?
I did. Well, I did a book. I did an animated book trailer for my first book. I've done animation. Yeah. In fact, yeah. I don't know if I can send you the link. But nah, that's too much work. Uh, um, uh, yeah, you can get a lot more with it with actual novel. My thing is I'm trying to convey like ideas, concepts versus like, oh, that's a cool image. It's like, yeah, all right.
Do you know when you talk about these projects, I lost my train of thought. Um, the the eagerness of people to believe things. Do you think it comes from this desire to control the world? And when someone figures out a conspiracy that they feel like they're the only one that have the truth. Do you think that that's a part of the human experience to uh, since the universe is a void of darkness, we want to hold on to something and make sense of it.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, humans, we all do cause and effect, right? I mean, that's how we got here, cause and effect. Whether you wait for going back to the classic, caveman analogy where yeah, there was a cause and effect. There was if we stand here and the lion came by and we can kill it, I mean, it was just yeah, that's how basically that's the definition of intelligence, basically, right? That you figure out the cause, of whatever you're, observing. Um, and my feeling on that, though, right, which then leads to, yeah, you'll always, certain people can't even just get their head around that yeah, just random stuff. There's just the life, there's randomness in there, and they're like, and they can't even, they refuse to even, accept that no, which folds into religion. God has a plan for me. Okay, fine, if you want to go for that, and a lot of people do that. But if not that, certainly the government, the next big thing, well, they're responsible for whatever happened. In whether typically it's just incompetence. Yeah, incompetence just caused whatever thing to fail. But so yeah, so they're taking what normally what human beings use, cause and effect, and we call it intelligence, and just misapply it, basically always looking for the effect or whatever. I mean, gambling, it's like it's there's no effect if you do hold your um lucky rabbit's foot or whatever. But yeah, again, it's back to what my hypothesis there is like, yeah, if you're built emotionally and not going to, if you're going to just react emotionally and not allow your rationality to say, hold on, let's evaluate this. Most people don't. So yeah, that's just going to fold into that, which the same thing I think is driving, the formation of religions, right? Is certainly if you're we're talking thousands of years ago, why did our village get blown down, right? I mean, why was a tornado striking my village? Well, there must have been a cause, right? We must have done something to cause this weather effect to hit us, right? I wonder if God did this. There's a cause and effect. Maybe it's a God that caused this weather effect to come down and blow a thing. And then so how can we appease? Well, hold on. If we want to avoid the next tornado, maybe if we pray somehow, we could coerce. Do we have to sacrifice somebody? Maybe we coerce that God to not do those horrible things that we think it has. Again, all cause and effect. If the cause was like, no, it was just a weather effect. But if you've implanted on that, yeah, it's God. God did it. God causes. There's everything. Everything is caused by God. He's looking at everything. So yeah, that's just an offshoot of what I was saying.
Okay, well, let me ask you, what about when reality meets fiction or conspiracies? Like
Right.
right now, and I had a big show coming after Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan is friends with Alex Jones,
Right.
and I don't know if he was on drugs or what when he said this, but he said that everything Alex Jones had predicted had become true.
Oh boy, yeah.
So now with Epstein information coming out and everybody being implicated that is famous, now they're like, see, we told you that there were a bunch of pedophiles, and maybe they're not eating the children, but they are, backing each other up, or the government has blackmail on them. What happens? Like, do you think that we project things, or is it they're just throwing poop at the wall and whatever sticks? And it just happened that everybody's
they're just,
pedophile.
yeah, I think they're just nuts. I mean, in the sense that there's no deep, there's nothing deep about Alex Jones and any of this. So it's almost like trying to argue with a schizophrenic, where no, there's voices in the walls. No, there isn't. No, there isn't. There's nothing you can say to a schizophrenic. And I remember that they were on the Alex Jones trial when they nailed him down, saying, "You really believe that that what was it? Yeah, they're all crisis actors." When what was it, the school shooting? They drilled them on that, and he kind of his excuse was like, "Well, just go off on that." It was a spontaneous thing, like it was uncontrollable, whatever. I'm like, all right, that's still not an answer, but yeah, they're just it's just scrambled nutty things. I mean, so trying to actually rationalize it, or even waste time trying to even rationalize it. It's like, yeah, you're going to drive yourself nuts.
But my theory is that conspiracies take us away from the real problems in the world, and sometimes conspiracies are pushed by the government or whomever to get us to focus on something else. And I think that's how the UFO phenomenon came about, where they were doing bombs and tricky stuff at Area 51, and instead of focusing on that, they gave them like a false flag, go focus on the aliens.
Right.
What about this stuff where it's coming out that these corrupt politicians and famous people are causing harm to children, and then now everybody can say, see, I told you throughout the years I've been telling you that they're all evil. How do you stop that, or how do you contain the conspiracies? Will grow even more when you find out that the world is so corrupt and so sick.
Well, it is. Obviously, it is corrupt. I mean, yeah. So it's just, I don't know. It's literally the same long lines of just what if you. How do you not convince or change a true believer in religion, or so you don't. It's just at least from my viewpoint, it's like I no longer struggle with that. Like if you're just that way, if your brain literally is wired to be that way, nothing I can do about it. So I just hopefully I can not get run over by these people, in a sense. And yeah, like I said, I'm 60 now, so surely in my 20s or 40s, I'd be like, oh, we need to do something about this. But like I said, I don't have any children, so I have no quote skin in the game here. I will be gone in another 20 years. Yeah, God, I hope you guys don't screw everything up.
But I want to push back a little bit, because one of the problems we're having in our modern society is that I don't know if it was Star Wars or Dungeons and Dragons or something, where now everything is binary. So you're either with the good guys, whoever you pick those guys are, or you're with the bad guys, whoever is your enemy and the person you don't like. And I have heard Bill Maher and other people say, you can't be a moderate. You need to pick. You're either conservative or liberal. And it's like, what about the people that have nuances and they don't see everything in black and white? When you say there's the rationals and then there's the emotional, that is a huge generalization. What about the people in between? Where
there's more. Yes, there's a whole gamma between the two sides. Yeah, there's always grays. Yeah, there's always grays in the middle. I'm just saying that. Yeah, on that side, is there and there, and then you have all the gradations in the middle here, right? So yes, you don't just cleanly, yeah, it's not binary, yeah, anything. The whole thing is gray. The whole thing is gray. Most people can't deal with that. It's either good or evil. Yes, they see the world that way, but no, it's yeah, it's grays. It's all horrible, murky grays to me anyway. And I have no problem with that. I can deal with uncertainty, or so. Yeah, it helps in the stock market too. So,
Going back to the grays,
yeah,
how far have you gone on ufology? Because I get these things on Facebook where they
right,
show you that there's 30 different races of aliens, and some of them look
right,
like cats, and some of them are
right.
reptilians. Why are the gray ones that are tiny with big heads and telepathy or whatever, why are they so popular, and where is that coming from?
Yeah, no, well, it's folklore. Like I said, I'm 60, so I've seen it turn into folklore. And by folklore, I mean like when you talk about, we all know what a leprechaun looks like, right? We've agreed what a leprechaun looks like. They don't exist. We know what Santa Claus clearly looks like. He doesn't exist, right? Um, and I was talking about this to another podcast yesterday here. That I remember back in the day, every time someone had an alien encounter, it was different. Like, ooh, what was your alien like? Well, my alien looked like that, that, that. Well, my alien looked like, a cat-like thing. And I brought up the example, there's a book called Fire in the Sky. It was turned into a movie. I remember when I was 12 and I heard about that incident. It was like, yeah, these aliens floated down. They look sort of elephant-like, and then they scooped the person up and, correct. So yeah, when I was in high school, and when there were only 4 books on UFOs, it was either just the Lubbock lights that I was for, and that was it. You got to look forward to the different aliens, because like, all right, certainly, yeah, all the aliens are always different. Certainly, if you're making the stuff up, yeah, you can make up whatever alien you want here. But as over the decades now, it's slowly, we've all sort of agreed upon that it's going to be the grays now. And I remember like around 1980s or so, the Communion book came out, and you saw Whitney Strieber or whatever, and there was an alien face right there. You went to the supermarket, you saw the book, sitting there with that alien face, and it's almost like the classic gray. Around the same time, we had Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There was a couple of things that looked like the classic grays, the small aliens, but the big alien, it was kind of a human-looking face with the long dangly arms. So you notice how it was progressing, and then by the time you got to the 90s, X-Files, yeah, you got now it look like grays, and now basically we all agree that, yeah, they're grays. They look like that. They have big black eyes. You can get a nice emotional reaction out of it because they look scary. So yeah, we've all now decided what the aliens are actually supposed to look like. Now that whole thing, there's two things about extraterrestrials. Whether there's any other life out there on the universe, that's one question. But then the other question is, well, did they actually make the trip and then give us an anal probe for their efforts here? That's 2 separate things. And I'm certainly not hammering on, oh no, there can't be any other extraterrestrial life. Sure, there's got to be. But whether they came here and hovered overhead and are obsessed with doing, medical experiments, which is just, pretty damn crude. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not on board with any of that. And thus, I covered all that in the first High Strangeness book.
And what's the obsession with Bigfoot? They say there's evidence. There was a show where they showed a footprint and
A whole bunch of footprints.
and where's all this coming from? Is there a guy dressed up as a monkey with big shoes? Like, what would be your rational explanation for something like that?
Yeah, that's also taken off. Again, I've seen it as a kid. I remember the Patterson footage. The Roger Patterson footage of the Bigfoot that's walking. Right, that's the classic. That's like the best damn evidence they have. Right, the Patterson footage, which was shot in 1967, right, by a cowboy guy. You're familiar with it, right? I mean, point is that's the gold standard of like, there's our Bigfoot right there. That is it. And yes, it is an impressive piece of footage. I've seen all the analysis of it, of the leg muscles and his breasts on it, and you know, they've recreated everything. Still could have been a guy, you know, and then the footprints. Yes, there was a guy early on that had the wooden footprints, and we're talking still back in the late 60s. There was a guy doing that. Certainly, and this is a fun topic. So, other people have run with it. And the whole Bigfoot thing is like I said, yes, that's impressive footage from a 1967 standpoint. And it was hard getting film in 1967. You needed a camera. You needed film in the camera. Oh, look, it's a Bigfoot. Thank God there's movie film in the camera. Patterson was doing a documentary or making a movie about Bigfoots. He knew what the value of footage was. Boy, he really needed some footage of his Bigfoot movie that he was doing. So that doesn't look good. So point is that could be a guy in a suit, the gold standard footage. 30, 40 years later now, literally everybody has a camera in their pocket. Everybody, all hunters, and soon it'll be a 4K camera in their pocket. And other people have brought this up in other forums here. So, okay, so if Bigfoots really are out there, right? Where's the footage that at least matches the 67 footage? I mean, again, there's a lot of cameras out there. I have a trail cam out back of my yard. If a Bigfoot walked through my yard, I would catch it. It's out there for months at a time. And the trail cams are cheap. I mean, you get them on eBay for $50. They're ubiquitous out in the forest everywhere. Nope, no one's ever matched the Patterson footage. So basically, it doesn't look good for Bigfoot here. Yes, it's a fun thing. Yes, yes. If I had a chance, I would put a Bigfoot, you know, costume on and like, yay, look at this. We got some traction. So certainly. And that goes for a lot of things too. It's just, it's a fun, goofy thing. And if you really believe it, fine, you're into it. So all of this conspiracies, you know, UFO sightings, it's just a fun, cool thing to promote. I mean, or whether you believe it or not. Sure. A funny little side note. I posted my second book. There's a whole bunch of skeptics in the pubs groups on Facebook, right? Where basically the few skeptics in Sheffield, UK, get together and have a drink, you know, and network amongst themselves, right? And I posted my book on there. I said, by the way, they're talking about something, crop circles. The first book starts with my protagonist making a crop circle here on Cape Cod just to prove that we can recreate them. And I remember a bunch of guys from the UK said, "Oh yeah, we do that all the time here." Oh yeah. We go out and make crop circles because it's just, and watching the true believers, you know, react. I was like, that was nice. You know, I'm not the only one that feels compelled to, just do it just to watch the crazies go nuts. So that whole Bigfoot thing, there's there's way more, you know. So we're talking, it's a primate. So we know what kind of caloric intake a primate that big would need, how much food it would need to eat on a daily basis, right? And people go, oh well, bears. There's creatures that are bear size that can survive in the northern woods. Okay, bears hibernate during the winter because it's very hard to eat during the winter. So are you saying these primates hibernate too? You know, so it's just a never-ending series of excuses of like when you come up with, you know, rational arguments. So where's all the Bigfoot footage, since literally every single person has a camera in their pocket? So a lot of it is just it's fun. It's just just watching these people go off gives you something to do.
But that's my issue with the aliens, that they're so sneaky. Right. That if you had that type of technology, if you had those type of abilities, why do it in the dark? Why go into remote areas?
On that topic, why? Right. The only assumption we can make, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure there's extraterrestrials, or at least civilizations, or at least creatures, something out there, right? if they made the trip, right? And that's this, I'm not dismissing that there's anything out there, but to say that they came by, you have to assume they made the trip, right? And we understand how hard that trip is, right? we can only sort of get our minds around, we could maybe go to Alpha Centauri, but then when you go, well, yeah, no, come from another galaxy, it's like your mind melts here. The point is, their powers of observation, if somebody made the trip and wanted to observe us any closer, their powers of observation have to be greater than us, right? I mean, just the fact that whether they bent space to get here or however advanced things, certainly you don't have to us, a good observation platform would be about, 100 yards up. Who says you couldn't just park yourself out in the orbit of Pluto? Like, yep, clearly see what's going on. We don't have to get that close. I mean, they think we have to get that close because that's just their frame. And in fact, why even go out to Pluto? Why just be one star over, if not, a bunch over? Clearly we can see what's going on, and then that whole thing, and there's a whole argument here. I can say that that it's not in their interest to actually contact us. What they can get whatever they need just by observing us. Yes, that's where they are technology. From a technological standpoint, anything they give us, we're just going to hurt ourselves with it. Any advance that we're not ready for. So yeah, that's sort of my argument to the Fermi paradox, basically.
As we finish up, can you give us all the resources that people can find your books and your other projects, and if they have questions or more interested in you, how can they learn more about you as an author?
Yeah, Higher Strangeness. That's the book sitting there. Deadguy.com is my personal website. And the joke is that'll be, when I'm gone, it'll be funny. I'm willing to wait out the 20 years for me to die, and then people go, aha, a dead guy. It's written by a dead guy. It's gonna believe me, I'm willing to wait that joke out. So yeah, higherstrangeness.net, adeadguy.com. All of the links are there.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming on our show. And
Okay.
I look forward to getting a copy of your first book and checking it out. And I hope that our audience will also delve into the world of conspiracy from a satirical perspective and a rational critique of it. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.